we're live. Hey guys, welcome to another installment of Sunday Night KloobySnacks, where me and my dad read a read a motivational quote from our book that we wrote together. Wait, how many of these made for social media books have you made? I was gonna remember that before we started.
This is the 5th made for social media.
This is the 5th of his made for social media book, but the first with me, where for anybody who's not familiar, we've compiled 52 of his KloobySnacks, his motivational quotes and sayings that he's coined throughout the years. We put them all together. We put them all together into 4 different categories, and then, or baker's dozens. 4 times 13 is 52. 52 weeks in a year. You get the math. And we put them into 4 different categories, and then I wrote responses to the first 12 of each flavor. And we are currently in the last. Oh, you got it.
Flavor, baker's dozen category, synonymous, right? Flavor, baker's dozen. But I'm just trying to give you homage because you came up with this whole theme. You want to talk about how you saw this? Like, what was your visualization? Because I was just gonna take Scooby-Doo's face out and put my face in, and then copy his branding. You're like, no, Dad, no. And I wanted more of that. So go ahead and talk about how you came up with the concept for the whole thing. By the way, let me just make sure I can, the cartoon. Go ahead.
Well, so originally the project was my dad's, but he wanted my help with sorting through the KloobySnacks, picking out the ones that I liked and I think that were the best to be all put together in a book. But then through that, the project kind of quickly evolved to an us thing. And then we kind of decided, okay, what is my involvement going to be? After a while, we got to me writing the responses to the first 12 of each 4 baker's dozens. And then he would write the last response to the snack.
But you came up with this whole concept about
I know, that's what I'm getting
way before you ever wrote anything.
Oh yeah, I did. Because it's KloobySnacks, KloobySnacks are originally my mom's cookies, because she is best cook, best baker, best everything in the world. And her cookies are delicious. We call them KloobySnacks, like Scooby Snacks, but KloobySnacks, our last name. But that's also what the motivational quotes are called. They're called KloobySnacks. So to me, it was I already saw a recipe thing. And also my dad has his little caricature little figurine thing that's always on all his books and on all his stuff. And I always wanted one. So I knew from the beginning that I wanted to be on the cover. And I think the way to do that was we had our little chef hats on, and we were cooking the KloobySnacks, the cookies, to pay homage to the fact that the KloobySnacks were originally cookies. But to tie that whole theme in, the whole book, there's it's a kind of in a menu format, and there's cookie jars on the pages and cookies and us with our chef hats on, kind of a little recipe book, because the KloobySnacks are passing down a recipe, where you would pass down a recipe through your family. These are kind of our recipes, or his recipes that have been passed down to me, which I think is highlighted a lot in the book, where it's me interpreting my dad's quotes and my dad's sayings and applying them or disagreeing with them or reimagining them, the same way that one would with a recipe, where you either do it the same way, or you change it, or you know what I mean? So the same way that we'd pass down recipes, we're passing down the KloobySnacks, which is what I wanted the cover to be.
May I add to this that the timing was you were in your senior year?
Yes, I was.
And having been a person who had left home to go to college while my older brother still lived at home, so I was doing something nobody knew about. You know what I mean? I could foresee that in your future. I knew that you were going to leave home. And so this project took on an extra layer of importance and significance in terms of passing down family recipes. So I just want to shed some color here that it wasn't just homage. It wasn't to mom and the original KloobySnack. It wasn't just, hey, Dad, you have a cartoon character of you. I think that would be cool. I want one for me. It was those things and a couple more things. And from the parents' perspective, yeah, we are cutting the umbilical cord, and we have to send her off to school with as much as we can.
Yep.
And this is really, for my part, I'll give you back the stage in a second. I just want to say, I I couldn't have imagined how more perfectly I could have sent you off to your first year of college than this book.
Yeah.
Back to you.
Yeah, I agree. And I think adding on to that, it's been a long time since we started. Well, and like for me, it's been a long time since we started working on this whole project. It kind of like came up around like September-ish. We started like really working on it, like writing in like October, but really like not much moving until like November, December. That's when we really like the project obviously really started. And like kicked off. So it's been a long time since writing this. So it's interesting how like going back and we do all these like when you go back and you read the KloobySnacks from a year ago and like all this stuff, it's so interesting to read and like kind of like grow up with myself. And I'm like, oh, like I'll be talking about something very specific that's going on in my life at that time. And I'm like, wait, like I'm so different from what I am now. So it's fun to go back and like have these calls and then read my writing and get to talk about the ways that I've changed or disagree or and all the changes that I've made since writing it. It's really interesting.
Yeah, well, wonderfully done in terms of, truth be told, for anybody out there that's watching things, if you are, I asked Abby to lead, for the first words to be heard or spoken would be from Abby, right? Rather than me leading every session, I want to put her in the position to lead and carry and host and facilitate and summarize and all of the stuff. So Abby, very, very well done in my opinion. How did that feel?
Fun. I don't know. It's very familiar, I feel.
All right.
I don't know. This is like the 51st week of doing this together. So I hope I could like do a little something.
Yeah. And so in your opinion, where do we go next in our session? We've introduced what's going on and why we're here and what the context is. We know that there are 4 baker's dozens, flavors, or sections, because 52 divided by 4 is 13. So baker's dozen gets us that extra. And that makes tonight special. You want to elaborate on why tonight is special?
Yeah. So as I said earlier, I would write the first 12 responses to the first 12 KloobySnacks in each flavor. And this is the 51st week of the year. Next week's the last week, meaning this week is the last week that I have a response to. So after these 50 weeks that we've done, we've reached my last response. And the next week it's my dad's response to his snack. But this is my last one, which is really weird. Did not think that was, I don't know, coming anytime soon this week, because like, this whole year has really flown by. But this week is special because it's like not necessarily the end, because there's no end to it. But you get to read my last response after reading quite a bit of them.
Yeah, then we just add some structure there. 4 baker's dozens. Abby wrote the journal style response to 12 of each 13. Right? So I wrote an introduction to each section, and then I wrote the response to the last KloobySnack of each section, just to be bookends, the intro and transition into each section and through line. But otherwise surrendered. The most of the content was written by my daughter. You're a #1 Amazon best-selling author in the category of parenting girls. And you did that at the age of 17 before you even left the house. And now you're home, and I'm like right above you. This is the interesting thing I told you before we started streaming that I wanted to say before. When we started all of this, you were still a senior in high school. Yeah. You were still at home. You were over there in that room over there down the hall, and my office was over there downstairs. And so we used to be above each other, and the signals would cross, and we would fight for Wi-Fi and everything. And now it's funny to me that we're still like, I'm still right above you, but like I'm on this side and you're on this side.
Now I'm below, because before you were below and now I'm below, and then now you're above me.
Oh yeah, okay. Well, we're still anyway. Yeah. It's funny, right? But it's cool because this is we're underneath the same roof.
Yeah.
And parents who cut the umbilical cord, parents who deal with empty nest may not get these opportunities very often. And so I'm loving every minute of it. The fact that you're home and safe and healthy and happy and fulfilled from a first year of college. I am, just overwhelmed with what this whole project means. I'm proud of you beyond belief. I'm inspired by your wisdom and your genius. I want to constantly pour into that. And I'm looking forward to how much you learn, because I can't wait to learn from you rather than trying to teach you all the time. I can't wait to say, no, tell me more, Abby. Tell me more, Abby. But we're still in a position in our lives where I have a lot to give. I have a lot to teach you. And you've been wonderful through this project about hearing me, seeing me, appreciating me, forgiving me, maybe even apologizing to me without saying I forgive you, without saying I apologize. There's so much of it all here in this book. Our commitment to loving each other is just never been better than it is right now. And so it's a special night. This is your last response. Do we want to do a review of snacks, or you tell us where we're going next?
I feel like we should do a review. We always do a review, and we're like at the end now, so we got a lot to review.
All right, so let me ask you this question. Talk to us about the 4 sections to set us up to review all of the snacks that we've reviewed so far in the section that we're in. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, we didn't even actually, I'm going a little far back. We didn't even have flavors or the sections or baker's dozen planned before picking out the snacks. And my dad, like, we sat down at the table and I went through and highlighted and copy and pasted the snacks that I liked. And then from there, they just so happened to fit into these 4 baker's dozen flavors categories, except they're all kind of, you got it?
Well, I fit them, I'm like, what am I doing? Which ones do you like? And I'm trying to see themes, and I'm drafting notes, and I'm sketching, and I remembered. I can close my eyes, and I remember exactly where I was. I remember exactly where you were. It was a very, very fun process until we got to this idea. Go ahead.
Yeah, but then also, I was going to say that even with these categories, all of the Klooby snacks are interchangeable, which you've kind of discovered more as we talk about them, and we're like, oh, this also is very
this could have gone there, this could have gone there. Yeah, absolutely true.
Which has been interesting, because all of these, even though like the Klooby snacks are like as they are, they're applicable in many ways, and every day that I read them, they can mean something different to me. So it's cool seeing like other categories that they fit into. I don't want to get the order mixed up because I always get the middle 2 mixed up, but the first baker's dozen or category flavor that we had was loving, which was my favorite section. And I think my favorite responses I wrote were in there.
Interesting. We haven't talked about that, but okay.
Yeah, we haven't. I think it was my favorite to write. I think it was not only because it was easy, but I don't know. I liked writing about it, and I think that like I was able to easily like use like different anecdotes and things, whereas the other ones I kind of struggled a little bit. So, and then we had ego.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, I don't know if the 2 and 3 are mixed. Then we had.
Here's how you could have gotten through that. You could say, and then the middle 2 sections were ego, or discipline, or discipline.
Yeah,
or
no,
ego,
I wanted to get the order right. I wanted to get the order right. And so we went from loving to ego, which was interesting. But ego, as in sense of self, which is interesting because I think a lot of times when people talk about ego, they talk about like having a heightened ego or ego in a negative way, but that's not what it is, which the Klooby snacks explore. And I think that I got to learn about throughout the process of writing about them, because I had never pictured ego as like just sense of self. I was always like it was a bad thing. I don't want an ego, but like, no, I do want to have a sense of myself. Actually, I would prefer that to not. So that one was really interesting. I think there was a lot of learning for me there throughout the process of writing responses to that, and also talking about them. And then next we went into discipline, which was difficult for me to write about, but I think a big part of just my dad and who he is and who this book is and his project is about like making accountability non-threatening. He always talks about that.
Oh my God.
Maybe I could try to make you cry.
Oh my God, it just came out of your mouth. I just heard my daughter say it. Oh my God.
Let me continue.
I feel seen. I feel heard. I feel appreciated. I feel like I'm passing down the recipe.
Wow. And back to what I was saying.
Wait, say it again, please. Please.
I don't remember what word. A big part of who my dad is and what he tries to. I don't remember what I said. And what he does and is about making accountability non-threatening. And I think
less threatening. Because what you know about ego defense, we can never make it non-threatening. You know what I mean? Because ego defense is always going to spring up. Yeah. But we can make it less threatening. We can make it easy and fun to look within. And I just love that you got that. You get that, and you know that about me. Thank you.
And I think the same thing also applies to the third flavor baker's dozen category, which is discipline. Because I a lot of the discipline Klooby snacks weren't about like actual discipline as in punishment, but more as in I don't know the terms, but not in like a punishing, like avoidant way, but more in like a like for growth or for stuff like. Can you chime in here because it's
Yeah.
there, I
Are you
promise.
ready? Already?
Yes.
You're there. You're right there. Yeah. Discipline isn't a punishment that happens to us after we fucked up. Right? Excuse me, LinkedIn community or whatever. Right? Discipline is the healthy choice we make inside to delay gratification, to choose what is necessary and difficult first instead of what is easy and convenient, such that when it's time to do the easy and convenient, we enjoy it more because we know we've already done what's difficult and necessary. But to delay the difficult and necessary in favor of the fun and convenient is going to limit our potential. That's how I would say it succinctly, since you asked me to chime in. But you
Yeah.
were right there, and I'm so proud of you. You were right there.
And then that brings us to our
yeah, what he said. Okay, moving on.
and then it moves us to our
By the way, real quick, how did I do?
great.
Thank you. All right.
Brings us to our current flavor, baker's dozen section category flavor, integrity, which is that one. That's really my dad's thing. And that I think that the integrity section and just integrity in general, I think is like the biggest thing that I've like fully just like learned from my dad. I don't think like I had like an idea of what integrity was, but I don't think I really knew or was able to like actualize it in any way or I don't know, like put it into any situation. I didn't know what integrity was. And that's something that I've really learned from my dad. So I think it's really cool that it is the last section. And it was also really difficult for me to write about because I think it's what I knew the least about. But I am actively learning from him, from the book and from myself and what integrity is and like what that really means and what it means to truly have integrity. So that's the section that we're currently in. And the one that my last response was written to, and I'm reading that tonight. So here we are.
Well, before we get into drum roll, please. I feel like you're just I feel the rhythm is like, hey, Dad, your time to talk here. And I'll say a couple things. I'm immensely proud of you. I'm immensely grateful for you. I've grown because of you. This project is bigger than both of us. And yeah, I just wish all of the parents in the world could feel what I've been able to feel these past 14 months. I wish there's, every dad on the planet could connect with his daughter in the way that we've been able to connect. I wish that any parent, dad or mom, son or daughter, whatever, however people identify, whatever, whatever, love is love. If you bleed red, I love you. And I just wish every parent on the planet could just get a little crumb, of what we've been able to like literally, consume all week long on a weekly basis. Look what we've done: 51 weeks, 51 videos, and all the reels and clips and shorts that the editor Rakesh, hats off to Rakesh, is doing all the editing on all the reels, clips, and shorts. And you're a best-selling author. To add that to your resume, and your Domino's commercials are popping up when Mom and I are watching TV, and we're like, "What? There's another commercial." And you're in New York City, and wow, you.
Thank you.
So there's in the work that I've done, and I don't want to preview too much what we're going to get into next week, but I'll go ahead and spill the beans. Next week's KloobySnack is, although my kids are doing a really good job, it's hard for us to raise our parents. All right, sorry to spill the beans. We'll more on that next week. But my goodness, Abby, what a great job you've done with us.
Thank you.
So heading into our last week, where it's your response that we'll read, let me go ahead and, with your permission, I'll go ahead and do a review of snacks unless there's anything else you'd like to say.
No, I'm ready.
All right. So when we got into the integrity flavored section, the first snack in this flavor was number 40. Behavior is the evidence of our integrity. Then number 41, honesty is a strategy. A lie is a tactic. Abby, you rewrote that one from its original form I loved how many times I just got out of your way on the little tiny things to keep the big thing intact.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm very proud of that. That was like really some mature parenting on my part, plus project management, plus anyway, I'll continue. Number 42. This is it, isn't it? This is it. This is why I said that we'll never prevent, you know what I'm saying? Like ego defense is always in play. So we'll never eliminate the threatening nature of accountability. We can just reduce it a little bit or make it less, not non. That's why I jumped this quote right here. It's always going to feel like an attack when we're not ready. And even when we are ready, it's still like fight or flight, you know, like even if we know it's a fly, we'll still flinch, you know, even though we know it can't hurt us because we're hardwired to protect ourselves. So I want everybody out there to let yourselves off the hook. We're all hardwired to protect ourselves. That's not the problem. The problem is if we keep on doing it in ignorance to the objective truths about where the real, true, productive path is. Right? All right. So don't let ego defense take over. It's an instinctual reaction, but you know, it comes first to the party and it taps the keg and it wants to start drinking right away. But don't let it overstay its welcome. All right. Thank you, Abby. Number 43, go ahead.
We are never guilty of ignorance, but we are always guilty when willfully ignorant.
You got a 1 or 2 sentence take on this one, or should I move on to 44?
I just wanted to read it.
Okay, fair enough. And 44, go ahead.
Critical thinking creates ideas. Strategic thinking makes them work.
Again, credit where credit is due. This is another one where you're like, Dad, the way that you originally wrote this, I'm not so sure. And then one of our readers, hats off to Jennifer Horspool, who said, Abby's right. It doesn't make sense the way you wrote it. And it was like, I got the same feedback from a 17-year-old as I did from somebody like I admire, respect in the world of, you know, PR and marketing. And, you know, she's an all-star in the 90-day challenge and she's superstar. So like a 17-year-old, and I don't even know her age, but she's probably around my equal. You know what I mean? I would say maybe even younger. She's beautiful. You've seen her. She's beautiful, right? It was a fantastic moment where independent of her seeing your comment or you seeing hers, I got the same comment from both of you. I'm like, oh, I'm onto something. Okay, all right. Keep stepping back, Jeff. Keep on letting Abby have as much creative input as possible. It was this snack will always remind me of how much validation I got from somebody I respect outside of our world to keep letting you have creative license inside of our world. Ready? Yep. Number 45, go ahead.
Never let the possibility of not achieving your goal prevent you from pursuing your goal.
Yeah, this is one of a couple of snacks that are related to goal setting in the integrity flavored section. The goal setting is one of the 10 points on the 10-point model in the integrity game. And it's so important. You know, it could have been included in another point about potential where we break it down into vision, mission, objectives, and then goals. But goals are so important. I removed it from the potential piece and made it its own piece in the 10-point model. There's one other snack coming up that are definitely related to goal setting, and it's not hopes and wishes and dreams. I'm talking about goals with specifics, measurability, time bound, etc. But what I'm interested in, what the integrity game is interested in, is not the specifics are necessary. The measurability is necessary. By when is necessary. Do you believe you can is necessary. But what the integrity game is really interested in is what behavior do you need to change in order to get a different result than what you got now? Because if what you want was available by your current behavior, you'd already have it. So what we try to do is make it less threatening and non-threatening, to hold up a mirror and gently ask the question, what behavior do you need to change in order to get this new thing you don't get? Because otherwise, everybody knows the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result, right? So we're a stand for making it less threatening to go ahead and get into behavioral change. So this is the first snack on goal setting, but there's another one coming up. Are you ready? Number 46. Ready?
If you don't know your purpose, how can you ever know what anything is really worth?
Yeah. And in that 10-point model, purpose is in the pole position, right? The first set of questions the integrity game wants to ask is, what's the meaning of this? What's the purpose? Why are we here? What's going on? What's the meaning of life? What's the meaning of your life? What's the meaning of this live stream? What's the meaning of the book? What's the meaning of the marriage? What's the meaning of the deal? What's the meaning of the purchase? What's the meaning of the acquisition? What's the meaning of the vote? Start there. And if you don't have answers to that, whatever else you're doing is on shaky ground. You know what I mean? Like, right? How will you know what anything is ever worth if you haven't determined what your purpose is or what the purpose is of something? You'll start there and assign a purpose. Doesn't matter if it changes tomorrow, right? In the integrity game, we always say, we don't care if your purpose next week is different than your purpose this week. What we care about is every week that you live without a purpose. Because then you'd be blown like a feather in the wind in anybody else's direction. And we'd like, we're a fan of the direction that you're born to pursue. We've talked about this before. I'm keeping it surface now, but I was like, hey, baby girl, my daughter, oh my God, you're destined for greatness. Don't scratch with the turkeys, soar with the eagles, please. I don't ever want to see you wasting a second of your time scratching with the turkeys when I know you're bound to soar with the eagles. That's where that comes from. All right, number 46. Go ahead. Oh, 47. Sorry.
Many people say they have to when truthfully they choose to.
Yeah, you should have a comment on this. Talk to me.
Yeah, I think that this one emphasizes the importance of wording. And I think that what I got was like the importance that like wording can have on your mindset, where it's like you don't like the connotation that goes with that, and like kind of in like a negative way, where it's like, oh, like I have to do this, I have to go do this, when it's you don't have to, you're choosing to. And how like that wording leads to kind of a misalignment within your priorities, where it's like, oh, I have to like do my homework, but I also have to see my friends. So no, you're choosing to see your friends, and you have to do your homework. And how even just like these like change in words can really misalign and shift your priorities in a negative or positive way, which this KloobySnack talks about. And I talk about it in my response.
I'm a little breathless in hearing these words come out of your mouth, because it took me, a couple more decades to arrive at some of these understandings. And so that's what we want to do, is get you to the front of the line, accelerate your curve, collapse time. We're not criticizing you. We're not telling you did anything wrong. We're just trying to let you know what we've learned from old school and give it to you so you can accelerate and go, 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 go. And it's working. All right, 48.
Many people confuse a goal with a hope, wish, or a dream.
Yeah, this is, like I talked about a minute ago, one of a couple of snacks that are related to goal setting in this section. And this one really is just specifically focused on the time-bound nature. A real goal has a by-when by, right? Hopes, wishes, and dreams, there's no by-when, right? One of my mentors taught me, he said, I told you this, everybody's favorite vacation destination is someday Iowa. That's Brian Tracy. Don't laugh at me. That's not a dad joke. That's Brian Tracy. Anyway, so like, when will you? By when will you? By when will you clean your room? By when will you? On and on and on and on. By when? It's a very simple and powerful question. By when will you? And just sit and let other people respond. And then now you know what to hug them accountable for. All right, 49. Ready?
Mm-hmm. We must be as clear about the things we want to learn as we are accepting of the things we must learn.
One of my favorite snacks. This is total Klooby Dooby, and my juxtapositions and my ads, and this has got my voice all over it. This is a KloobySnack through and through. You got any comments on this one when it comes to like being so clear about what we want versus accepting of what we need, and then all of the parallel discussions like, well, how do we know the difference, and how would we ever know if we haven't determined purpose, like we talked about a minute or two ago? Abby, what do you got?
Yeah, I think, well, when we talked about this KloobySnack, we mentioned how the way that I interpreted it was different from how you wrote it.
Yeah.
But I was kind of more talking about how there are things that like we must learn. And I was talking a lot about like how like with school and stuff, and how like there's like core curriculum and these classes I don't want to take, but whether or not I want to, like I have to. And I think like something that I got from it was like, if there is something that we have to do, we must do, our like negative mindset or like I don't want to or anything doesn't necessarily change anything besides like making us more closed off or like whatever. But then when you were
it's a
talking,
by the way, that right you said right there is a perfect segue into what tonight's snack is going to be, but keep going.
but then that's how I was talking about it. And then you were talking about it more as with like being a good dad and being a good husband and a good son and all this stuff. And I was like, oh, I was not there yet. But
yeah. Isn't it funny? You're like, oh, I have to. What you were talking, material things on the outside, tasks and material transactional things, right? And when we look at the snack, it's like, oh, I want to learn AI, but I need to learn how to forgive my parents. Right? You know, it's like, oh, I want to learn how to do a webinar that runs automatically, that generates leads for me, that will just show up on my calendar. So all I need to do is show up and build rapport and sell. Oh, but maybe what I need to learn is how to re-identify with my relationship with money. Anyway, you understand that's the funny of it. You're like, this test or this book or this event or that event, external surface, 18-year-old stuff. Oh man, who in my position wouldn't want to go back to being 18, knowing what we know now, if we could take it with us? I've always said, I don't know if I'd want to go back to being 18 years old right now in this day and age. I think my only one condition is I get to know everything I know now and then go back. And then in an 18, it would be, I don't know. I don't even know if that would work. But you know what I'm saying? But anyway, here we are. All right. So that takes us to last week then. Ready, number 50?
Yep. 100% of our behavior is preceded by a belief.
Yeah. What do you got there?
Yeah, I like this one. My response, I was talking about how I always use like I don't know in response to anything. When somebody's like, "Oh, why did you do this? Why did you say this? Why did you think this is okay?" And I'm like, "I don't know." Like, "Oh, there's no reason. I just did it." But how that's not really true. And even if I don't know, there is always some reason or there's some belief or moral or anything of mine that is what caused said action. How our actions are rooted in what's rooted in us, whether that be our beliefs or our morals or just the way that we see things. So I thought this one was interesting. And I bring this one up a lot in conversation with my friends or stuff like that. So yeah, I like this one. I think it's interesting and true. Thought-provoking, all of the above.
Yeah, and I didn't I talk at length last week about how I did this last lecture and about peeling off of persuasion, about emotional appeal and the need to appeal to emotions, persuasion, but taking it further into the relationship between emotions and beliefs, to talk to my students about how to author state of mind at this crucial time in their lives, finishing a first semester. It was the weirdest experience. It's been the weirdest experience with AJ going through school and you going through school. These 3 years that I've been in the classroom teaching college freshmen have been like the 3 years that AJ started school and you're starting school. And I'm looking at my students, and the truth be told, I'm just like really channeling all my love for you guys into them. And then Marianne, your mom, will laugh and say, well, they have to listen to you, Jeffrey. No, they don't. They don't not show up to class. They cannot watch the recordings. They cannot watch the syllabus. They cannot read the instructions. They cannot look at they cannot look at all of the things I've done to help them succeed. That's the thing. You can do everything you can, but nobody's going to see unless they want to. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Very interesting. Very interesting. I'm getting ready to shed that skin. I'm not teaching next semester. It's an emotional thing. But I think that my identity as unretired professor has served its purpose for these past 3 years, and I'm ready. I'm really excited about what's happening. What's next? All right. So here we are. Ready for number 51, this week's snack?
Yes, I am.
All right. You've been great tonight, Abby. Absolutely great. Here we go. Number 51. Drum roll, please. All right. Ta-da! Go ahead. Read it out loud, or I'll read it.
Yeah, you read it.
as I'm getting ready to screen share, but I don't need to read it. I have it memorized. Left to our own devices, we will excuse ourselves more than we will confront ourselves. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Abby, take it away.
I cannot imagine a world without consequences. In theory, I'd love to live in such a place, but realistically, consequences are necessary to the workings of our world, the real world. If my parents never enforced consequences on me, I'd be a completely different person. Consequences teach us right from wrong, about the effects of our actions, and how to overall be a better person. This is not me saying that I want to face consequences, because I absolutely do not. I hate getting my car taken. I hate having my phone taken. I hate getting my privileges taken away. However, consequences are not determined by what we want, but rather what we need. I'm not very good at differentiating the two concepts, but luckily my parents do that for me. Their consequences, though I view it all as punishment, are not all punishments. We don't often enforce consequences on ourselves. Self-discipline is incredibly difficult to enforce. If my parents didn't discipline me at all, I would be left to my own devices, like this KloobySnack says. In that reality, I'd be a completely different person than I am now, going down completely different paths. I would not know right from wrong, or at least not act in accordance with what's right and what's wrong. In ideation, a world without consequences sounds amazing. In reality, a world without consequences is a world of chaos. Consequences keep us in integrity, holding us to our word, encouraging us to achieve our purpose.
Well, in Hebrew, we say manish tanah halayla hazeh, but normally that's in the spring during Passover. Translated, it's why should this night be different from any other night? I'm going to ask you the same question I always ask after we're done with your reading. How do you feel about looking at that and reading that through a year, at least a year after, more than a year after having written it? Because I know at this time last year, we were done. Everything was in the can, cover, everything was good. We were just finishing interior design, but the writing was done. So it's over a year since you wrote that. There's so many layers. Like, my second question, by the way, is in relation to everything that we talked about tonight leading up to that one. All right, but answer that one second. First things first. How does that sound and feel to you over a year later?
I think it's really weird. I think like I'm talking about consequences in like like our relationship with like, oh, I'm like, you guys are like showing me the consequences to my actions. I talk about that, how like I'm not very good at like differentiating what I like want versus what I need, and what I need to know and need to learn, and the consequences that can help me realize that. Like, I'm not good at that. So I'm talking about how you guys are teaching me that. And now I'm at the point where well, currently I'm here, but I live on the other side of the country, like over 3,000 miles away. And I don't have you guys to directly like teach me that anymore. Like, if I'm like wake up late, I don't have mom like being like, you need to go to bed earlier and set an alarm and make sure you set your alarm. And then the next, like that night, she's coming in my room to make sure my alarms are set. Like, that's not happening anymore. I'm learning this on my own, which is interesting because there's a lot of things that not that I don't know, but I thought that I knew, and I did know. I had an idea of certain things, but I didn't fully know until I have to just like really be on my own. So it's interesting now because I'm at the point where there's things that, not that you guys couldn't teach me, but you couldn't teach me. I needed to just go and experience it on my own, and I've done that for this past semester. We just finished the first semester. First semester of college, first few months of me living on the other side of the country, not with you guys, and I'm getting to learn all these things on my own, and like and face these consequences on my own without guidance, which has been really interesting. So it's interesting to see me
without as much parental guidance.
Yeah, not that you guys aren't there,
it's
but
like we've been absent. But your guidance now is the syllabus. It's the security at the front desk when you want to check somebody in. There is guidance, but it's different.
Yeah. I'm talking about from you guys.
Yeah.
Because what I'm in my response from over a year ago, I'm talking about you guys teaching me about consequence and what that means. And
the examples you referred to in your writing, it's like, oh, none of that happens anymore.
No more phone taken, or I can't go hang out with friends. Like, that's not what this is anymore. Thankfully. And So it's interesting seeing like what I'm talking about then and how like now it's so different. I get to not that I wasn't learning like from myself before, but it's not fully on my own, but it's more on my own now than it was then. So it's interesting seeing what I was able to learn from you guys and then how I get to apply that to where I am now. And then also the things that I'm learning now because of where I am now that are so specific to my like situation where it's like I'm in college, I'm in New York City, I'm the journalism and all these things that I'm learning from my specific circumstance on top of what I learned from living here for 17 years with you guys. So it's interesting to go back and like read that.
All right. So that question is like, all right, I focused on like what you wrote versus what you wrote now, or how do you how do you react to what you wrote a little over a year ago based on where you are now? But now let me ask a different question. What about application of this snack? Right? Like is this in you? Right? Is this part of the lenses through which you see the world? When you have the opportunity to either let yourself off the hook or confront yourself, who's winning? Where are the scales at on that balance?
I think that I'm not at the point where I just skip the excusing myself part where it's like for like example, it's like I have all these assignments to do, but like I really want to go to bed. I'm really tired and like all this stuff. And it's like I do often and always, pretty much always consider the like I'll just go to bed and I'll wake up early tomorrow morning and I'll like get it done, whatever. And I try to the whole excusing myself and whatever. But then I get to the confronting part and it's like, okay, if I decide to just go to bed and not do these right now and pretend that they're not important when they are, then I'm going to rush my assignments. I'm going to not be proud of the work I turn in. I'm not going to be proud of the grades that I get back. I'm going to be like embarrassed in front of my professors because normally my work is good and I don't want them to like see something and be like, this isn't.
They'll know better.
Yeah. And
by the way, real quick, I know who the A students are within the first 2 weeks. And when they turn around, I'm like, you're better than this. Come on. What's going on?
Yeah. So that the fear of that really gets me. So then kind of like not even confronting myself, but confronting just like the reality of the situation. Cause it's so easy to just like pretend that an assignment is really easy and I'll get it done in the morning later, or I have more time and I'll get up in the morning and do it and all this stuff. It's so easy to just say that because and feel as though there's no consequence, but it's not. It's like confronting yourself and also confronting reality and being like, okay, no, I need to do these things. Like this is what I need to do. Like this is what I want. I want to have good grades. I want my teachers, my professors to like be proud of me and like recognize me as like the student that I know that I am. So in order to
refer you to sweet internships and on and on and on.
So in order to get these things and get what I want, what I know I want, what I'm so sure that I want, like maybe I should be a little realistic here and like and do those things. And it's not just with like going to bed before doing an assignment. It's also just about like in class, like being attentive, and then also like applying said knowledge out of class and like doing my own, like not even just research, but like looking into things on my own that interest me, and all this stuff, and like and learning like willingly and out of like my own want rather than just like passing by and like, oh, I go to my classes and yeah, I turn in my assignments, but I want to learn. And I want to know things. I want to know as many things as I can about like everything. I would love to do that. So doing those things instead of telling myself like, oh, like there's more time and I can do it later and it's not that important because it's not. And like I know what I want, so I know what is important to me. So but it is easy to kind of downplay it, but I don't.
Real quick, I will tell you real quick that I don't want to go down the rabbit hole, but here's what I try to tell my students. I'm like, look. How many of you have ever done the informative outline in advance of the informative speech? And nobody raises their hand because they haven't done it, right? So then I say, well, hang on, keep your hands up if you know then how much time it's going to take to do the assignment and meet all the requirements that have been clearly available to you for several weeks. And nobody, I'm like, look, you don't know how long it's going to take. So if you wait to the last minute, might not be enough time. Mm-hmm. And then that's going to reflect on your work because I know the assignment and I've been teaching this class for 46 semesters, 23 years. So despite what you're trying to tell yourself in your head and you're going to let yourself off the hook and it's going to feel good, right? You can't hide your broccoli in a glass of milk. So I'll know if you put the time in or not, right? And I don't want to go too far down a rabbit hole, but I do everything I can to help the students, but still it's interesting. But for you, it's just amazing to me to see you communicating with these perspectives that I didn't develop until years and years later. And it's very special. So here's the thing, Abby. I've asked you about, all right, how did your response to tonight's KloobySnack feel reading it out loud over a year since you wrote it with all of the water that's been under the bridge? Then I asked you to go a little bit deeper, right, on the content of that response and that difference. And now I'm going to come back up to more of a macro question for you as we transition into last call. Abby, this is you're going to show up next week just to hear me read my own stuff, and you're going to hold it together while I'm crying and fighting through my tears and my emotions to read through everything I wrote to finish up the whole project. But how do you feel now as we, gently close the book on your contributions and your authoring of what is a #1 best-selling Amazon in the category of parenting girls? Like, how do you feel right now? The closure, the completion, like, wow. Like, I don't want to prompt you too much, but what do you have to say here?
Yeah, I think, first, I think it's just weird, one, that we've read, like, we've done 51 weeks of reading one snack a week. I think it feels weird that the time has really flown. But two, I think just through the process of reading my responses, I think I've learned so much, if not like more than I did just writing it. Because just writing it, it was like thinking about the snack and then thinking about my life and what I know and talking to you and then writing it. And even though it took me a while, it was pretty simple. But now I get to go back and think about what I was thinking then and how I think now and what's changed about, like, from me then to me now and all this stuff. And I get to think about it more. And since writing everything, I've applied these KloobySnacks and what I wrote, I've applied it to my life more. So it's interesting, like, getting to like learn from myself as we go back and read these KloobySnacks, and also like cringe at myself and all this stuff.
Wait, what cringe? Go a little bit deeper there.
No, sometimes I write things and I'm just like, I don't know. I am proud of my writing, and I think that it is showcased a lot in this book. But not only have I grown as a person, but I've also grown as a writer. So sometimes I cringe a little bit when I read these things. And I can tell what I put more in like effort into comparison to the other snacks. But it's been really fun getting to like learn for myself. And now it's like, not that I can't learn for myself now that we're done reading my things, but it's weird that that's over, because I've had like, it was always like once a week I'd get to go back and do this. It was very routine, even though I miss it sometimes. Very routine. And now it's done. My part is done.
Do you remember when we did this photo shoot? Do you remember,
my hair
like,
was so long?
Right? Do you remember being in the kitchen and Mom taking pictures of us and the control that you assumed, in the project? And here's the preview again. I put in the intro, I preview all the way to Snack 52. This is what we're going to talk about next week. Although my children are doing a really great job. It's hard to raise your parents, right? And it's just fun to, like, I'm just feeling nostalgic. This is the second to last week, and there's the loving flavored, and on we go. Yeah, there's so much to be proud of in this whole project. What else, Abby? I guess I'm kind of mixing in a last call here with my nostalgic scrolling through the whole project, but I'll stop sharing now. Last call.
I don't know. I have nothing. It's been weird. It's been fun. It's been emotional and sappy and all the things. I don't know. I'm not like happy that we're done, but it's like I feel very accomplished. Not that we're done. We're not done. Still one more. But my responses are done. I remember when I wrote my last response to a snack, I'm like getting up and cheering and like went over and I was like, I finished. I did the last one. Because it was I don't know, there was so rewarding, you know what I mean? And now it's like, it's still rewarding now to go back and it's like, oh, we've just finished like reading through them. But it's so interesting how like even for 14 months later, there is still so much to learn from this book and for us to learn from ourselves, from each other. Interesting how that still happens. I still feel equally as rewarded 14 months later, and the book's already read. I haven't actually done anything. I'm just reading them, reading what I said, and thinking about what I thought, and I'm still getting equally as rewarded. So it's interesting.
For my part on last call, it would be foolish of me to expect you to believe, especially believe as fully as I know, that 14 months ago, 15 months ago, when I saw your reaction to this bait that I would put out, and you would nibble, and then you would chomp, and then you were in, what you've shared tonight, Abby, I saw it 14 months ago, and it's been my commitment all this while to not screw it up. To not do anything that would sour your enthusiasm for the project, to not do anything that would dilute your commitment to the project, to not do anything that would drain your interest in the project, to always show up ready to add value to the project, you'll know this, when you're later on in life, and there's some instances where this now, when you're dealing with anybody younger than you, and you've been through stuff they haven't been through yet, that you can help pave the road for them, that you can make it easier for them, that you can, right? And really, in that sense, Abby, there are no adults. There's just a bunch of kids who, by blessing or curse of experience, pretend to be less afraid to try to make it safer for the other kids. I love you.
I love you. I don't have a book. Just pretend.
There's plenty downstairs.
I know. I went to go grab them, but I got confused because all the boxes got moved.
I kind of want to put it over. Oh, it doesn't show up when I go over here. Anyway, I was hoping for some poetic mic drop, last word type stuff. I got close enough. I love you. I love you. I love you.
I love you.
All right. Last week is next week of 2025. Ain't no jive. And I've previewed all along, and here it is. Although my kids are doing a really great job, it's hard to raise our parents. We'll see you next week. I love you, Abby.
Bye.